Another build that'll replace any DPS builds you got. In version 1, I was being humble, but now I'm just stating fact, so it's official now. Undeniable, indisputable, undoubtedly, the king. You made it. Another build in this new patch, and I hope you enjoyed the other one. A seemingly invincible marauder, one who roams from place to place, making attacks and raids in search of plunder. In this particular case, it's whatever the Division's loot algorithm decides to bless me with. But enough of that. I'm sure you got a healthy dose in that video. Now, let's set our eyes on this beauty. I am not capping at all with what I'm about to say. This build is the sovereign ruler of skill builds. It has the formidable fortitude of a less than average tank, the weapon damage of a DPS with skills equivalent to a 6-tier skill build. How can you deny the strength of this build in all categories? I made a build back in the day called King, and it was said that the build would replace your DPS build. I believed at the time that it was the epitome of a skill hybrid DPS. It was a beast and still is, don't get me wrong, but as time progressed, I began to notice flaws in its design, specifically the chest piece talent. Kinetic momentum is not what you want, but you know how RNG is. I wasn't able to get the talent I needed, but now, with this, it's like a dream come true. With a few new gear pieces that put it over the top. I'll show you in a sec, but first tell me, are you interested in builds from DPS all the way to skill? If so, don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel, also like the video. So, over the PTS I was streaming and I noticed that Morten Ryberg, he's the product director at Ubisoft for Division 2. He stopped by as I was streaming the title base in Stronghold and asked me how I was liking the legendary Stronghold so far. I had to be honest, so I told him that they're fun, but it's very difficult to use DPS type builds because you can barely even show yourself long enough to deal any damage without being gunned down yourself. So legendaries force you to pretty much use skill builds, even more now. And after playing that night, I made it my aim to create something where I could do just that. Use my weapon and skills equally, without losing that killer's instinct from either playstyle. That's why I love hybrids so much. They allow you to build almost anything without being constrained to one playstyle. Well, this is the ultimate hybrid, a page taken from King's book and upgraded to its final form. I can't imagine how this could get any better. Just think, any skill in your arsenal will be strong. Doesn't matter what you equip, so depending on your situation and whichever mission you're in, you can strategize accordingly. Oxidizer, drone, chem launcher. It's the jack of all trades DPS skill hybrid. Now let me stop talking so I can tell you about this build. Here it is. And if you were watching any of my streams during the PTS, you would have noticed that I used this build extensively. It was a large part of my success during those runs. Let me just say firstly why this build is so special. I'm using Technician's specialization, and using this grants me the first of 3 skill tiers I have on this build. Free skill tiers, which allows you to invest in other attributes in order to diversify your build or make it stronger. In this case, I'm using them to make me more tanky. So the second and third skill tiers I'm getting from a Minto exotic backpack and a 2-piece bonus from the brand 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸. This brand also came with the name holster, which grants weapon damage, an eclectic evolution indeed, just adding on to what is already a beast. But they did change the holster, but why not? I mean, it's best in slot for what I'm going for because the 2-piece grants me an extra skill tier. So now I have 3 free cores that I can roll to my heart's desire. I decided to roll armor, which gives me the value that you see. And with this build, since I'm using capacitor, doesn't require any weapon cores. The damage capacitor deals comes from skill tiers, which I have 6 of. This is how I'm able to hit like a DPS. Not only that, shooting the capacitor grants more skill damage. There's nothing better than the synergy in this build category. The chest piece is Fenris for the assault rifle damage bonus, and his talent is debatable for some because many of you would opt for glass cannon to deal more damage, but with that, for me, it leaves me too vulnerable. The damage received is not worth it for legendary in my opinion, but by all means, use what you like. I mean, Spotter used to be the best in slot for other weapons before the capacitor came out. Remember when the Harmony was a thing? But now, for this, just fits and seems to be the right choice for this build. I think it's pretty cool, to be honest. My next 2 pieces are what put this build's damage category on another level, especially with the contractor's gloves. I said it before and I'll say it again many times over. The damage to armor from the contractors only helps the damage to armor on the capacitor. It has an attribute of that as well, and it's the only assault rifle in the game that has this. That is very significant and something you should take heed of. Next, I have Fox's prayer knee pads. The damage to targets that are covered, you don't want to pass up. Now, the last thing I want to address before talking about the skills is what you should roll in terms of attributes. A while ago, I made a video discussing the evolution of capacitor, and in that I said don't roll skill damage and skill haste, roll crit chance and crit damage. But in reality, you have an option to do one or the other depending on your preference of more skill damage or weapon damage. I do a little mixture of both, but it's totally up to you. For the skills, I know I said you can use whatever you like, but for these new legendary strongholds, what got me through them was mainly the striker drone and assault turret. Every now and then I alternated using the oxidizer to take out NPCs, healer boxes. This combination is so nice because you're able to effectively utilize the capacitor and skills at the same time. And you're tanky enough to take a few hits while out there, which is another reason why I didn't really want to opt for glass cannon. Comment below and tell me which skills you've been using, and tell me what skills you'd use with this. Check out the stats if you're interested, and while you do that, I'd like you to comment supreme skills below. I would love to see how many of you made it here. And that's pretty much it for this build, but before you go, just know I got other builds and other videos up. You can just check them out on the screen. Boy oh boy, are you gonna love these. I'll see you in the next one, fam. Be right out.